Welcome to Care Less with Carly, the podcast for people who are done playing by their rules. I'm your host, Carly Lynn, and each week we'll cut through the noise with real talk, bold conversation, and expert insights to help you trade perfection for purpose and live life on your own terms. Hi, everyone. Welcome to today's special episode of Care Less with Carly. I met our guest, Dave, also known as Super Dave Zennario, about a month ago while filming with Simon Squibb in New York City. I sat down and I asked Dave one very simple question. Dave, do you remember that question?
What's my dream?
What's your dream? And without missing a beat, Dave said to be the champion of the world, which is when I knew that I had to sit down with Dave and hear his story. Since then, I've learned quickly that that wasn't just talk. Dave is a Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu black belt and a two-time world silver medalist, and someone who lives and breathes discipline, humility, and purpose on and off the mat. In today's conversation, we'll dive into what it really means to choose mastery, how to bounce back from setbacks, and most importantly, how to care less about the noise so you can focus on what truly matters to you. Welcome, Dave.
Thank you. Thanks for having me so much.
So can you tell our listeners where you're joining from?
I am in Chinatown in New York City at my Jiu-Jitsu gym, Masterskya Jiu-Jitsu on Canal Street.
Okay, very cool. Have you ever done a podcast?
No.
Okay, well, I'm honored to be your first. I love how we met. I'll tell you a little bit about the podcast. I started this about 4 months ago because I wanted to hear stories from people who cared less about the noise and pursue their dreams fearlessly. And something that I have dreamed about my whole life is having a platform and a way to connect with people and share their stories. So I finally got out of my own fear bubble and launched this podcast in June. And Simon is somebody who I met about 2 years ago. And we did a very similar interview as I did with you, where I was crossing the street and he asked me what my dream was. And I said I wanted to be Oprah. And then 2 years later, he was in my studio recording with me. So it's kind of just this beautiful full circle moment. I feel like my listeners are people who have their own dreams and they're just looking for that vote of confidence to keep going with it. I'm so excited to learn about you and hear your story. And that's the gist.
Your followers are really nice. They added me on Instagram and sent
nice
messages congratulating me and all this other stuff.
That's so sweet.
Yeah.
It's really sweet. Yeah, it's a super supportive community. I think one thing I've learned in doing this is the only people who you'll ever get hate from are the people who aren't doing it.
Yeah, I
agree.
agree.
If you're in the trenches, if you're trying something, if you're bringing something to life that's hard, you'll never knock another person because you know what it's like.
Yeah. I think if you have haters, you're probably doing something good.
It's true. It's true. I love that. And just for some background, are you a New Yorker?
I grew up on the Jersey Shore.
Okay. Very cool. And you're still in Jersey or you live in the city now?
Yeah, I've been in the city about 7.5 years.
Okay. And did you move to New York to pursue jiu-jitsu?
Yeah, I grew up on a farm in New Jersey in the Jersey Shore area, and I found jiu-jitsu pretty early on in like 2003 when a lot of people didn't really know what it was. And then I just pursued it from there, and then I wanted to be more professional, so about 7 years ago, 2018-ish, I moved to New York City to be with a more professional team and be more around like-minded people.
Very cool. And so if we have listeners who aren't familiar with jiu-jitsu, can you just give us a brief background of what it is exactly?
Yeah, for sure. So jiu-jitsu is a Brazilian martial art. It's basically wrestling, no striking. It's a wrestling type of martial art with chokeholds and joint lock submissions like elbows and leg locks and stuff like that.
Okay.
Yeah, so more wrestling based.
And now how do you go from growing up in a farm in New Jersey to becoming a two-time world silver medalist in jiu-jitsu? I can't wait to hear that story. Did someone introduce it to you? Did you see it on TV? What were your beginnings in this world?
Well, I was always athletic and I always liked karate movies and stuff like that. And I used to go to the video store a lot with my father and rent movies. And I'm a young kid walking around the video store. I seen the old UFC tapes, like VHS tapes from the early 90s, and I had no idea what it was. I was like, what is this? What are these guys fighting? I'm like, so I rented the tape. I brought the tape home. I watched these guys bash each other with no gloves on. I was like, wow, these guys are out of their minds. But I seen some chokeholds and some submissions that were a little bit intriguing. And, fast forward, I returned the tapes. I forget all about it. Years later, I go to a kickboxing gym to practice.
Mm-hmm.
And they told me that they have a guy teaching jujitsu on the side. He's just renting mat space. And I was just like, oh, I remember those tapes. And I was like, that's chokeholds and arm bars and stuff like that. They were like, yeah, yeah, yeah. So I was like, okay, perfect. Let's try that.
Wow. It's not like anyone in your family ever did this or your friends. This was a whole new passion that you discovered.
Yeah, I grew up with two older sisters, and my mom and my dad working like a construction style like kind of work, and so we were just farmers and living in the Jersey Shore, pretty close to the beach, living a good life, and then I just found jujitsu, and it just all the athleticism came out of me for sure.
And how long has it been now that you've been practicing?
I started in 2003, so this I was about 22, about 23 years.
Wow. Wow. That's more than just a passion. It's your life.
Yeah, I was only 15 or 16 years old, and a freshman in high school, and I'm at a time where everyone's like, well, what are you going to do with your life? Are you going to go to
Mhm.
college? Are you going to do this? Are you going to do that? And I didn't know. I had no
Right.
idea what to do. And until I found jujitsu, and then I just knew right away. I was,
Yeah.
I was like, well, these guys are doing it, and they seem to like me, and they nicknamed me Super Dave.
I was
And
going to ask where that nickname came from. How did you become Super Dave?
my first day in class, and they taught me how to pass the guard, which is like passing the legs and get to
Okay.
side control. And they showed me two moves to do that: a knee cut and a windshield wiper pass. And it just seemed easy to me. I just said, okay. I worked on the techniques that they asked me to work on, and then they told me that you're not regular Dave, you're like a super Dave.
Wow.
We laughed, and then it just stuck ever since.
I love that. I mean, you are Super Dave. If your dream is to be the champion of the world, you better be a Super Dave.
Thank you. I'm
I
trying.
I love the question. I start a lot of the podcasts with this. If your 10-year-old self could see you now, what do you think they'd say?
Wow. Yeah, I think you'd be pretty surprised. I'd be pretty happy that I'm a head instructor in New York City at a famous school, and I'm doing well in the competition scene. Man, I would be very inspired.
When people were asking you, "Oh, do you think you're going to go to college? Do you think you're going to pursue XYZ?" Could you ever have imagined you'd be living out a passion?
No way. I mean, everyone else is going to school to become teachers or lawyers or doctors, and I didn't really want to do any of that. I
Mm.
mean, the teacher thing sounded cool to me, which makes sense because later on I ended up becoming a teacher, but just not a high school or type of teacher. And it was like, got to go to college so that you can afford a house and get pension and be able to have a family and stuff. And I had to kind of just put that to the side and go forward anyway, which a lot of people were very nervous about.
Yes, I want to ask you about that. Were there ever moments along the way where you questioned the decision to choose this path?
Yeah, many times.
And what was that like?
Jujitsu is very difficult. There's not a lot of money involved, especially when you're on the lower belts, like coming up. There's not much money. You don't get paid that much money to teach. And then you have your parents that are like, hey, you're not making any money. In their eyes, they're like, you need to get a job. What are you doing? You're being a bum. And it's like, well, I'm not being a bum. I'm really working towards something that could take a long time.
Right. I
Like,
mean,
what if you fail? You know,
so what do
like,
you tell yourself in those moments?
I think failure is just a part of life, and you have to fail, and you have to fail to learn, to get better, and to grow and to move forward. So I started to change my perspective on some of the setbacks to like be thankful for them. Be like, these setbacks are steering me in a different direction and always leading me to a better place and me things along the way.
When we sat down, you within a heartbeat said, I want to be the champion of the world. What was going through your head at that moment? And how has that dream become so clear for you?
Man, I just think as a young kid and watching my instructors and some of my other teammates become champions before me, set that in early on that was a dream for me as well. And every competition that you do, and maybe you win, maybe you lose, that dream just always stayed there. Like, I never fully accomplished it, so it was always like, okay, I'm still working towards this dream of being a world champion and having my own gym and teaching other people to be champions too.
Yeah. And I know because I was reading a bit about jujitsu that some of the core principles within jujitsu are control, patience, and humility. How do you feel like those core tenets show up for you in your life off the mat?
Well, yeah, I think it does help a lot. Jiu-jitsu really relates to real life because it's like the same problem-solving type things. And sometimes you come out onto the mat and there's another guy there and he's going to beat you up. You know, he's going to beat you up that day, and you still got to walk out of the gym with your head high.
Right.
Yeah. You walk out the gym with your head down, it's going to follow into life too. And then something will happen outside, and then you're going to be down and depressed from that and might not ever overcome. If you can overcome stuff here on the mat and people trying to choke you and put you in headlocks, you can overcome anything.
Right. I mean, we live in New York City. I feel like even
Yeah.
just walking down the street sometimes you're overcoming obstacles, but I could see how practicing on the mat is such a good model for how to carry yourself through life. And I'm
Yeah.
sure despite being the future champion of the world, you probably have had some really tough matches.
Many tough matches, many losses, many times where I've flown to California, Texas,
Mm.
Florida, Atlanta, Las Vegas, and I lose my first match.
And then is it over from there?
Yeah, single man elimination.
Wow.
You lose
Wow.
one, out. It's no second chance.
Wow.
So you fly all the way out there, and I'm a struggling athlete. I don't have any money. I get my money together. I get to California. I compete. I lose.
Mm.
You're like, okay, you go back home. And people back home are like, well, good try. Why don't you get a regular job and then the money? And they just always like the average, no, I don't want to say the average person, but the non-jiu-jitsu guy always wants to like pull you back into their world. Like,
Mm.
but just get this job and you'll make a ton of money and you'll be happy. But I just always had these dreams of winning these tournaments and becoming a world champion and then teaching others. So I'll just go again, fight again and again and again until, man, last Saturday I win the Pan American Championship.
Yes, I heard. Tell us about that because I'm assuming most of our listeners maybe are learning about jujitsu for the first time. So what exactly did you win? I saw that. And what timing with the Simon clip?
Yeah, insane timing.
Insane.
Yeah, I can't believe how it all worked out. Pan American Championship is a major event. So you have world championships, national championships, European championship, and you have a Pan American championship. So those are the biggest, the four major events that they only do once a year.
Okay.
And then you have an open invitationals, kind of like tennis. You have an invitational in Paris or in Australia or, in the US. And then you go to those open invitationals and then you get on the podium there and then that qualifies you to compete for world championships or Pan American, something like that. So it's one of the biggest tournaments in the world. It's actually the first tournament that I ever even heard of as a young kid. My instructor won the Pan American Championship in 2002.
Wow.
So that was very inspiring to me. And so I wanted to be a Pan American champion. And I never won it. Throughout all these years, 22 years, almost 23 years, I never won it. I've gotten a bronze medal one time, and then the other times I lost. And then this time, everything just aligned. I competed, and I competed well. And the crazy thing is a week before the tournament, I got sick. We had weird weather here. The weather went like 80 degrees when it was getting cold. And then it flip-flopped, and the next thing you know, I have a cold. So I'm like, oh, no, I'm not feeling well. I injured my thumb. And then I'm just like, man, I wasn't thinking this tournament was going to be very well. I thought it was going to be just like these other ones that I went and competed. I tried my best and I lost again.
Mm.
But I just stuck it out. I took my vitamins and my vegetables, and I just got myself ready anyway.
Wow. Wow. What do you think was different about this time around?
Well, the schedule came out for who my matches were. So I really only had like 3 days or so before my tournament. So when I saw the bracket, I said they gave me a bye, which allows me to skip the first round, and then the other guys have to fight, and then I fight winner. And so I was like, oh, that's nice. I get a bye first round. And I saw my opponents that were going to fight me, and I was pretty confident that I could beat either one of them. And I was like, well, okay, that's actually not a bad start. I'm like, if I can start this easily, maybe then I can have more energy for my next fight, and it may not be so bad. Because I'm thinking my conditioning is probably lacking a little bit because I've been sick.
You're sick.
So I went and competed first round. I went anyway. I was motivated. I was like, okay, let's go. So I go there. I compete first round. The kid's very tough. He's very tough, and I never fought this kid before. But then I ended up beating him 4-0 by points. And then tired. Like, after the round, I'm gagging garbage in between rounds, which was not fun. And then I waited for my second round. The other guys fought, and they got their side of the bracket, together, to where now I have to fight this guy over here. And now I get in the finals, and I had to fight a completely different kind of fighter. This guy was more technical. The first guy was very strong and thick and like a bully. The second guy, very technical, trying to play strategy, points, and I snuck that one out too. Had a good takedown on him, and he was trying to choke me, hurt my neck a little bit, but I got my neck free, and then was battling him from there, and I won by points. I won the championship.
Let's go. That's great. That's great. Can you even put into words how it feels to do that after so many years? You've competed in that specific tournament?
Yeah, probably 5 or 6.
Wow. Wow.
Yeah, I'm still kind of figuring it out. It's still kind of setting in that I won, and I did really well.
Oh, that's awesome.
And just from all the setbacks leading up to it, I was not expecting it, and it really goes to show that you really never know what's going to happen. I could have been super prepared and never got sick and no injuries, and I still could have lost first round.
Sure. What do you take away from that?
I think either God or the universe is magical, and he's watching, and he's setting up things for a reason.
Right.
I don't know why he wanted me to be sick before this tournament. Maybe it was just to let my anxieties at ease, make me not care.
Sure.
I just think everything happens for a reason, and everything might have a little subtle reason on why you take the next step. So I think if you're down in the dumps and you're not thinking that this is a good thing, that something is wrong here, maybe you're the one that's wrong. And it's just steering you in a better direction and clearing out some other stuff that maybe you don't need anymore.
Yeah, that's great. That's great. I like the saying that success is luck meets preparation, right? Because you kind of need a little bit of both. Like luck can get you so far, but if you're not ready, if you hadn't been training all those years, if you hadn't known how to approach these two very different fighters, you wouldn't have been ready for the win. And like you said, sometimes you could do everything right and it's just not your match. So
so you might as well just keep going. And whatever happens is meant to be, and it's meant to teach you a lesson that's going to help you for, the next step.
And now I know, as you said, you're a teacher, so you teach students of all different levels. What would you say are some of the biggest mental blocks or hurdles that you see with some of your students when they're trying to get to the next level?
Jiu-Jitsu is a little bit slow in the beginning when you're first learning. There's a lot of terminology that people don't understand. It's not like punching and kicking. I could tell you to do a left kick and you could do a left kick. But if I tell you to do an armbar or something like that, people have no clue. Because it's so slow, they're not getting so much of that instant gratification. And then they see other people on the mat that are just destroying people left and right, flipping them around. And you're like, wow, they want to do that so bad, but it's going to take them a little while.
Sure.
And sometimes people don't last. They do 2-3 months and then they're like, man, I don't think this is for me. This is really hard, and they end up doing something else. It's tough. You just got to kind of stick with it. I think people aren't used to failing so much. In here, you're going to have failures left and right. Oh, this guy beat me this way. Then I did this round, then he beat me this way. Then you might roll against a young kid that you're like twice his age, and he beats you too. And you're like, oh my God, do I suck or what? And you're just on your own journey, and you have to climb your own mountain. He climbed his mountain already, and he probably got beat up at one point too. And I think you just have to get used to the setbacks and just keep moving forward. The same as we were talking about before with our life wisdom,
Yeah.
Just keep moving forward even through the setbacks and try not to let it bother you so much. People get down in the dumps. They feel like they suck. You don't suck. The God is teaching you something.
Right. You're learning. You're
Yeah.
learning. For you, so you just won Pan Am. So what is next for you in terms of your goal to be the champion of the world?
Yeah, so we have World Championships is December 11th through 13 in Las Vegas. I have about 8 weeks, I think. So now it's just back to lifting weights. I do airdyne bike workouts. I run outside. I have to make sure I'm eating well. I'm a smaller guy, so my body wants to lose weight rather than put weight on. So I have to make sure I'm lifting my weights and I'm eating properly to make sure that I keep my weight at a good place. I do have to weigh in for a weight class. I have to be a specific weight. And so I just get my workouts in, and then my jiu-jitsu workouts. I have to make sure I develop my strategies, which techniques I need to use. I need to strategize how to beat different style opponents. Like my first opponent was tough, muscly, bully kind of guy. Second opponent was very technical. Other opponents are very different. Some are cheaters, believe it or not. I have to be cheaters. Yeah, some run away the whole time.
You're chasing them?
Make you chase them. Yeah, there's a lot of different kinds of fighters that you have to learn how to beat them. Right. So right now it's just conditioning my body, strategizing for my matches, and getting my mind right so that I believe in myself and so that I'm confident.
So it's really inspiring. December 11th through 13th. Okay, well, you're going to have a whole audience here cheering you on. Maybe we're going to have to do a part 2 to hear how it went.
Yep, I'll let you guys know.
Yeah, it's super exciting.
Yeah, I'm very excited. The whole tournament and everything that just happened with Pans really motivated me and made me really happy to where I can't wait to even just prepare for Worlds. I'm really excited.
Yeah, it's super exciting. So we'll have to check in to hear how it went, but we're rooting you on. And I have one last question for you. If you could think about your legacy, right? We started talking about what your 10-year-old self would say if they could see you now, but what do you think you would want your legacy to be as Super Dave? If listeners or your students could take something away from this conversation.
My legacy. Well, I hope to be one of these old men that's like this old martial artist guy that's sitting back and, smoking his pipe and watching students compete. I want to make other world champions. I want other people to be world champions too, And I wanted people to help me become a world champion, and sometimes people are not always there, Everyone is very scattered. They do their thing, and
right.
I would want my legacy to be building up all these other people around me and having a bunch of world champions so that we can celebrate life together and enjoy life and be happy and take care of each other. It's funny because everything is so competitive, like you versus me or left versus right. But I would rather have more unity within our sport and within our society and everything too. So if we could all come together and build each other up, then we could all have what we want. I think there's plenty of that to go around,
It's so well said. I completely agree. And I'm excited for you to give that speech on the podium after Worlds. So, Dave, I'm going to thank you so much. Thanks for sharing your story. Thanks for sharing your mindset and what keeps you going through tough times. As you said, life is a series of wins and knockouts, right? And I hope that when people listen to this episode, they can see that hard work pays off. And if you're a listener and you're deciding whether you should take that first step, just know that the beginning's going to be challenging. It might be slow. It might not feel like you're ready to, I don't know what word you use, Dave, but kick someone or windshield or something with the bar, but it's happening. And these slow steps really do add up. And one day I hope all of our listeners will be the world champions of whatever industries or fields they're pursuing.
Yeah, I like that too. We could all be world champions.
That's right. I want to ask one more question. Where can our listeners follow you, support you?
Yeah, definitely follow me on Instagram. It's super_Dave26. On Facebook, I'm David B. Zennario. And follow my jiu-jitsu team, Masterskya Jiu-Jitsu. We're in Chinatown, New York City. Everyone is welcome to come in and train and try a class and even learn directly from me too. And follow me, support me, and I'll support you guys back in your dreams as well.
That's right. Dave, I think I need to come take a class.
Yeah, come and I'll gotta flip people and armbar.
Whoa.
No one will mess with Carly.
No one's going to mess with me. No one's going to mess with me. All right. Well, I'll see you in the studio.
Yeah, thank you so much, Carly.
Thank you. Thanks for tuning in to Care Less with Carly. If this episode resonated with you or reminded you to stop living by someone else's rules, I would love to hear about it. Don't forget to hit subscribe so you never miss an episode. And if you enjoyed today's conversation, leaving a quick review means the world and helps more people find the show. If there's a guest you'd love to hear from, DM me their name at Careless with Carly on Instagram or drop me a comment. I'm always looking for powerful, honest voices to bring into this space. Until next time, you got this. Keep caring less about what others think and more about what makes you come alive.